What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Mind Blueprint podcast. This is episode number 3, and in this podcast, we are going to be talking about self sabotage. Now, for this past week, I have been doing a few things regarding trying to find a job. So, for those of you that don't know, I actually start an apprenticeship in digital marketing tomorrow, so the 14th of October. And yeah, so I've been really busy trying to sort all that out, doing stuff regarding the blueprint or the Mind Blueprint as a brand, and working on some other personal ventures and other side businesses. Now, some days I'm very productive, some days I'm not very productive, and I feel like because of the way I am and the things that happen with me, I feel like I'm very prone to self sabotage, and I know a lot of you are as well, where we'll have some days where we do so much work in terms of, I don't know, at your job. I'm doing it at home, like if you have a new house, painting, all of that stuff, just general work where it takes a lot of time and effort and you feel very, very productive. Now, you go to sleep thinking, oh, I can't wait to do that tomorrow. And then the next day you end up doing nothing. And that is the case for me for the past couple of weeks, and it's due to self sabotage. Now, with what I'm currently doing, I am trying to build multiple businesses by myself and with other friends. As I said, I've now sorted out an apprenticeship, and I just want to be productive. You can't be working 24/7, but I feel like I haven't been doing as much as I have on some days of the week. As I said, one day I'll be really productive, and then the next day or the next 2 days, I feel like I do nothing, where I either go to work or I just sit around the house doing nothing, watching Netflix. This week I've been watching How I Met Your Mother for like the 5th time. I need to stop watching it, but it is one of my favorite series. Yeah, regardless, I just wanted to talk about on this podcast self-sabotage, how to identify it, and how you can really shift that mindset of feeling like you're self-sabotaging and really change that, flip it on its head, and be productive. So what I am currently doing is I am building a business that's taken up much of my time, and it's a business regarded to financial trading, so foreign exchange trading. That's taken up a lot of my time. I'm teaching people how to do what I've spent the past 3 years doing, and it's time consuming. But as I said, I've noticed this week in particular that there's a lot of times where I'm active. There's a lot of times where I'm talking to people, helping people out, posting content, and just actually physically trading. Monday, Tuesday, I was very productive, and then I felt for the rest of this week, really, maybe bar Thursday, where I wasn't doing everything that I wanted to do. So I'm trying to stick to a routine. I'm trying to stick to a schedule where it allows me to be as productive as not humanly possible, but as being productive in a day where I feel like I've accomplished something and I feel good about myself. Now, that schedule not has gone out the window, but is I find very hard to stick to, and that's just me in general as a person. I'm not the most unorganized person, but I'm definitely not the most organized person that you're ever going to meet, and trying to find that fine balance where I can create a schedule which I can actually maintain and stick to and actually still get enjoyment out of it, because is very hard for me, because if I'm sticking to a schedule where I'm not feeling like I'm being productive or I'm not enjoying my time, then the schedule I'm currently using will not work, because I just really can't be bothered to stick with it. So I just give it up. And I've been really thinking about how I used to handle self-sabotage and how to increase productivity, because at the end of the day, we've only got a limited hours in the day, limited hours in a week, limited hours in a month, limited hours in a year. And it goes by fast. I've noticed this year already. I turned 20 in June, and it's now October. So June, July, August, September, October. It's been 5 months already, pretty much. 5 months and 4 days where I've been 20. And it feels like I turned 20 yesterday. And I can only imagine from what I'm experiencing now and the people I've talked to that are a hell of a lot older than me is that time just goes quicker and quicker and quicker as you get older. So it's really about managing your time and getting the most productivity you can out of that set period of time. Now, self-sabotage is as I said, the leading factor for me and is holding me back massively, not hitting my full potential, as I said, because I could be doing a lot more work, and it's not even to the detriment of where I'm no longer enjoying it. It's just I could be doing a lot more work and still enjoy it. Now, the self-sabotage I get is I feel like as I said, one day I'm being productive, and then the next day something in my head, my like inner voice inside of like internal thinking, it goes, oh, you're not prepared for this, or you're not going to achieve this, you're not going to be this success that you want to be, and the things you're doing now aren't going to benefit anyone on, and just not going to be any use to you, any use to anybody really. And that's the bad mental thinking that I'm currently trying to overcome with self-sabotage. And now the best thing that I think I've done previous is finding what triggers that. Now, if I'm feeling down, or if I've just not done anything that makes me happy that day, this inner voice kicks in where it takes control, not control for the whole day, but for a set periods of time, like 4 or 5 minutes, where it drags, and that 4 or 5 minute period feels like a year, like an eternity, where it dictates my whole day. Like if I have 4 or 5 minutes of those, and I have 2 of those a day, those small period of time on the day, which equate to like maybe 1/100th of the day, maybe even less, like 1/1000th of the day, they ruin the whole day simply because they trigger my mindset into thinking, oh, I don't deserve this, you aren't anyone exceptional, you aren't doing any good, you aren't trying hard enough to achieve your goals, and therefore because you're not trying hard enough and you're not putting out all of the things you said you were going to, it really, really, really is not gonna work for you. You're not going to achieve what you're setting out to. And now I'm trying to find things that trigger that. As I said, me being upset, me not being productive are the key things, and there's also smaller ones, but the number one thing for those of you that do self-sabotage is the first thing you're going to need to do is admit that you self-sabotage, acknowledge the fact that sometimes you aren't as productive as you want to be, you aren't as happy as you want to be, but you also need to acknowledge that the large proportion of why you're feeling like that is because of your thinking, is because of this self-sabotage mindset where you are putting yourself down, and you aren't acknowledging how like incredible you actually are, and you're talking bad to yourself, you're talking negatively to yourself. So you're self-sabotaging your success, you're self-sabotaging your happiness, you're just self-sabotaging whatever it is you're trying to do. And the first thing, as I said, that you need to acknowledge is that you do self-sabotage. It is normal for human beings to self-sabotage. I guarantee you 95%, 90% of the population of the world self-sabotage or will self-sabotage at one point in their life, where they talk bad about themselves and they hinder their productivity, they hinder their success because of the way they are talking to themselves. So the first thing I want you to do is just admit or just acknowledge that you are self-sabotaging, or you have self-sabotaged, or you may self-sabotage in the future if this is something that you're worried about. Now, by doing this, you can really, really focus on what triggers those responses or trigger these emotions, these reactions to what you're doing, and you can deal and find ways to cope with them. So something I'm doing now to try and improve my mind, my mental state, is when I notice that I'm self-sabotaging, when I notice that I am thinking negatively, that I am not thinking in a healthy manner, I nip it in the bud straight away. I go, okay, right, you have 1 minute to think like this. And then after that 1 minute, you're going to go and do something productive. May that be work around the house, go for a walk, listen to a podcast, create some content, talk to someone. You are going to go and do something that gives you a little bit of fulfillment, because if you're countering that negative thing with a positive thing, it evens out. And the more you counteract those things, those moments of self sabotage where you are thinking really, really, really badly about yourself, you automatically change the way you're seeing things. So, whenever your body starts to self sabotage, you are going to be in a habit where you go, okay, I'm self sabotaging right now. This is not going to be the case. I'm no longer going to do this. I am going to go and be productive. I'm going to be super productive for the day. I'm going to create a blog. I'm going to record this podcast as I am doing now, which is actually led because of a self-sabotage moment. I am recording this because of something that happened earlier today where I was self-sabotaging. Just doing something productive that allows you to forget about the weak mindset, because it is a weak mindset at the end of the day, to forget about that weak moment that you had in that day, which allowed you to feel crap or bad about yourself, and you counteract that with something great, something productive, that's something that makes you happy and gives you gratitude. So that's what I'm currently doing, and that's something I want you to implement if you are self-sabotaging at the moment, to really, really counteract those bad thoughts with something productive. Limit yourself to how much time you can think about the bad things, or how much time you can think in that way, and then once that time frame has done, you stop. You do something productive that's going to counteract that balance, that self-sabotaging thinking. Now, I know this is hard because it will take practice. You can't suddenly just switch off of your brain thinking, oh, I don't deserve this, or I'm no good, or I don't, why am I doing this? It's the question of, am I right for this? Am I suitable? Am I really going to achieve success? That really, really daunts me at the moment, and it has taken me practice, and I am still practicing. I'm still going through it to really, really get rid of that self-sabotaging mentality. So it is going to take numerous amounts of time, numerous times where you do something productive. You go see a film, you go something that makes you happy. It's going to take practice, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, because it's like riding a bike. It took you, I don't know, when you were a kid. Hopefully you know how to ride a bike. If you don't, my bad. But it's like you riding a bike as a kid. You had no idea what you were doing to start with. Your dad, your mum, whoever it was that was helping teach you, your brother, whatever it was, you started off with, first of all, struggling to get on the bike. Then you were nervous because it was shaking, but you had stabilizers. And then you practiced riding stabilizers, and then you got comfortable riding those stabilizers. And once you had stopped, you become accustomed to riding on stabilizers, you then tried to progress to the next stage, which was taking the stabilizers off and learning to ride the bike. And I guarantee you, it took you multiple times to learn how to ride the bike. Not just learn how to ride it like for 1 meter, but to actually ride the bike comfortably. Because I fell off numerous times in my local park, got scratches, got grazes, actually showing proof that it takes time. And it's the same with counteracting this self-sabotaging mentality. It's going to take lots of time and practice to get to a point where you just know, if you at any point, if you're self-sabotaging, that you know what to do. You have done it multiple times and you practice this, so you're ready for the next time you self-sabotage. And that's what I'm trying to get to in my life, and this is what I want to try and get you to acknowledge, is you do and you will, or you might in the future, self-sabotage, but please be aware of it, because once you're aware of it and once you can put in place the practices to counteract it, then you're going to be in a great place for the future, or for now, because it's going to make your mentality so much stronger, and you're going to live such a happier life, because that negative thinking that you have will not affect you as much anymore. Because I know it will affect you at some point, but it will not be as bad as it was. So now that you're putting into practice that anti-self-sabotaging mentality, those practices that are going to help you think differently, what I want you to find next is what actually triggers your bad thinking. I've explained mine. I've said what I know of. currently really gets me thinking badly. But everyone's different. Everyone has different triggers. Everyone has different things that set them off, that gives them maybe anxiety or depression or self-sabotaging thinking. But what you need to do is figure out what it is that is actually triggering this bad thinking. Now, if you're thinking like this because of, as I said, family issues or whatever, get a pad, pen, paper, your notes on your phone, whatever it is, your diary, your journal, I don't know, something to record on. And every time you have a bad thought or you are thinking that you're in a pattern of self-sabotaging, I want you to write down the reason why you think you are thinking like that. And maybe after physical exercise, and maybe after something, I can't explain what it might be that triggers your thinking, but I want you to write down what it is that you're currently thinking about or you were doing or thinking of, and write down what it was that triggered that bad thinking, that self-sabotage. Because once you do this, you're starting to build up a history or a list of things that really set you off, that really get you going, that really like make you angry, make you upset, piss you off, make you like hurt. So once you can start building up a list of these things, you know what triggers you. You know what to avoid or how to handle the situation if you're about to go into a situation which makes you anxious or upset or nervous. You know that you can handle it because you've written down a list that you know will trigger it. Once you've got on that list, you'll continuously add to it in the next few months, next year, dependent. You now know the causes. You now have limited the amount of time you can think like this by giving yourself a certain time period where you can think negatively. And then you have counteracted the cause of this negative thinking by putting in the practices of feeling grateful, feeling happy, doing something you enjoy, and you are now taking the appropriate steps to really, really, really change your thinking. Because I can come and talk about a whole variety of different topics that get you motivated and get you positive and get you pumped up. If you can't handle the times when you were thinking bad, you were thinking negatively, and you don't know how to actually fix them, then all of the times you are motivated and all the times you are positive is going to be taken down by the negative thinking, because the negative thinking can do a hell of a lot more damage to you than you realize. And even if you are thinking positively 10 times a day, that one negative thought can override those 10 positive things that you thought, just because of how powerful negative thinking is and the detriment that it can cause you in your personal life. Now, that is really what I want you guys to focus on this podcast, for those of you that are listening, is trying to focus on the bad thinking, the bad habits you have. Because if we can start to work on the negative things in your life, then it just means more room and creates more space for the positives that you can have in your life. It's allowing this transition from you being in a bad mental position, acknowledging how to get rid of them, getting rid of them eventually over time, and then finding that space that was there for negative things and filling it up and plugging it up with all of this fantastic and great stuff you enjoy, people you like to hang around, activities you like to do. That will enrich your life, because you're, as I said, you're getting rid of the bad and replacing it with the good. But you need to be very disciplined with this. You need to be on top of not your happiness. You do need to be on top of your happiness, but for the next 2 weeks, a week, I want to see how many times you're actually thinking negatively and how many times you actually spot yourself thinking negatively. And if you do that, please record down the times that you think negatively, the actual causes for it, and I'd be very interested to see or to hear what it is that's actually causing you this anxiety, this pressure that is leading to this negative thinking. Because I'm just curious to see if it's similar to me, or there may be people that have experienced similar things to you. And it really would be great to see you figure out what it is that is causing you these issues, because ultimately I want to see you living your best life, quote, cliche quote, oh, I'm just living my best life. But in the actual reality is I do want you to be living your best life. I want you to be living in a state of content, happiness, growth, all of these great positive ways that I want you to be living your life. Starts with acknowledging that not everything is great at the moment. Not everything will be great 100% of the time, but figuring out you as a person, what causes you to think negatively, what causes you to be upset, causes you stress, causes you all of these things. And once we found all those things, we can start to eliminate them and really, really get you to a place where you're only focusing on the positive things and improving your life. Because that's where we want to be in the Mind Blueprint podcast. That's where I want you to be personally. I want you to be enjoying life to the fullest. And I really hope this podcast episode, number 3, self-sabotage, has helped. It's something I'm working on personally right now, so you're not going through it alone. This is something that's affecting me personally. So please note that the person, me, James, that is recording this, I am going through the exact same thing you are going through, and I am working on it, and I'm here to help you as much as possible. You're not alone, and you've got this. It's just going to take a bit of discipline, a bit of time, but eventually you will get out of these self-sabotaging ways, these mannerisms, this way of thinking, and you will get to a point when you are loving life, and I cannot wait for that time to happen for you. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Mind Blueprint podcast. It is being about self-sabotaging, how to change it, and how to help yourself with it. There will be a new podcast out very, very, very soon. As always, I love you. You are amazing. You are worth it. And just know you are one of a kind. And yeah, I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And I will see you soon. Have a great day.